Well, the U.S. is almost energy sufficient right now, but in Europe, there's growing concern over Russia's monopoly and its growing aggression. The issue is dominating talks at this year's US-Azerbaijan Convention in Washington, D.C., and Ebru's Kyle Schmoyer joins us live from the nation's capital with more on how energy is dominating the discussions there. Kyle.
Well, good evening, Nicole. You know, this particular convention, US-Azerbaijan, is pretty much in its infancy, only a couple years old at this point, but it seems like this year we're going beyond the usual building bridges and relationships politically, economically, and also strategically. This year, we're specifically talking about energy a lot here, and oil, and how it may be a game changer when it comes to the crisis in Ukraine. There's a buzz about oil and natural gas at the US-Azerbaijan Convention in Washington, D.C. Current congressmen and former politicians alike know the country's calling card.
It's a tremendous, and has for many years been a tremendous producer of petroleum, of energy, and now natural gas.
Azerbaijan has long been a leader in crude oil production, currently supplying 3 pipelines out of country. The vice president of SOCAR, the state oil company of Azerbaijan, and major sponsor of this convention, is proud of his company's record.
So we're already contributing to the diversification of the crude oil supplies, which are not related to any blocks, organizations, and so on. It's a free trade.
But a direct pipeline to Europe could serve a dual purpose.
Europeans, I know, long for the day when it's easier to get that gas to Europe through Turkey or through some southern route so that they have more competition.
And Azerbaijani pipelines could be a viable and a far more dependable source of oil and natural gas for Europe than Russia's.
Thus creating competition, and some American politicians think that could ultimately be key in drawing back the situation in Ukraine.
Winding back Europe's dependence on Russian oil over the next several years can bring our European partners to a place in the coming decade where they are freer to counter Russian aggression.
The inference? EU countries would be less hesitant to act without the onus of losing Russian oil. So I asked Senator Schumer.
Is it a way that maybe the administration can work on freezing out Russia?
Well, certainly getting around Russia, yes. And I think that's something we should explore.
How soon?
Soon enough.
Sooner
rather than later, absolutely.
Yet the head of SOCAR says his company isn't interested in getting into a political game with oil as the pawn.
We are not using this as a tool, and nobody in our country use our company as a tool for domination or a tool against somebody. We have been supplying to Ukraine, we have been supplying to Russia, and we don't think that the energy should be used as a tool against anyone.
Now, of course, the vice president there of the oil company towing the company's public line and being very politically correct. But I said to him off camera then, I said, you wouldn't oppose if more work, growing your company, and growing more internationally came your way? He said to me, absolutely not. Nicole?
Yeah, it seemed like pushing out Russia was the big white elephant in the room that no one wanted to talk to you about, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he knew what we were getting at. He knows about some of the stories that have been in American media and what a lot of American politicians are talking about. He wasn't going to take one side or the other. Remember, they do also serve Russia as well. But he also said if more work, more production, more ability to grow that company came their way, they're not going to say no.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Good report.